Hello, everybody. Let's put on our math goggles. We're going to continue a little bit with the world of negatives, okay? They're not so bad. We can learn to deal with them, all right? Um, we originally started with whole numbers and their opposites, which is called what kind of number set, boys and girls? Yes, integers, okay? And adding and subtracting them. And so it got a little confusing at times because you were having a negative number minus a bigger number, or you'd have a small positive number minus a bigger number. And then we even had something minus a negative number, a double negative. Oh my gosh. So we talked about those concepts. And we did a couple strategies on using little counters and circles with pluses and minuses in them, or drawing a number line so you can see where you would end up, and that would be the answer, okay? But when we start working with decimals and fractions and little pieces of a whole number, it's a little more difficult to do on a number line and even harder on a counters, because we'd have to draw them not just to halves. The world of decimals and fractions is not just halves, which is nice and even. There'll be all kinds of like 0.375 and other things that we can't really represent very easily. So we really, at this point, need to start using and memorizing and focusing on same sign rule, different sign rule, okay? I'm gonna do a real brief on that, and the IXL, this first one we're gonna do, let's share screen. Remember, in small talk with me, Mr. Douglas, did you remember to share the screen? I've made a whole number of videos in practice on my own where I forgot to hit share screen, okay? All right, you hang out over here. So today we're doing 7th grade H10, add and subtract positive and negative fractions. Now we've already worked with turning mixed numbers into improper fractions and improper fractions back into simplified mixed numbers, whole numbers, and their simplified fractions and such. So we've had all that practice. Now we're going to throw the positive and negative numbers in there. So we're going to come over here and do a couple examples and notes as a reminder real quick. And then I'm just going to jump through some levels of IXL so you can understand, you see all the different ways they're going to ask you. And honestly, on this one, compared to what we did in class, it's fairly simple. It's not that difficult. They're not getting real crazy. The challenge level is almost as easy as the beginning level, okay? So the main thing we would have is like if you had 2 minus 3, okay? We call that the different sign rule because you have a positive and a negative. Now you might be able to logically deduce, because the numbers are so close together and everything, you're looking at it kind of like, okay, I have a situation where somebody's trying to take 3 things, but I only have 2 things. So I'm going to be short 1. So your answer is -1, okay? So if you used counters, you could do that, okay? But you might also see it, so anyway, let me just write -1. You might also see it as 2 plus -3. Oops. So I joke a lot of times, people say, sir, is that a +3 or a -3? And I say, which way would you rather think of it? As long as you recognize, like in a real world situation, the event or the situation is negative, okay? There's $3 positive being subtracted from your pocket to buy something, I sometimes say, or you're basically saying, I have $2 and I want to buy something that costs $3. So buying something is going to be a -3 to you. But at the end, you're just continuing the process or the situation, okay? As far as adding it, it's going to be a negative situation. So if you did counters or a number line, when you're done, you're still going to have that same answer. You have more negatives than positives, okay? And the last, I'll come up with others here and there throughout the school year. This is one I came up with towards the end of the school year in class, right before spring break, and I just kind of stuck and made a little more sense. us adults, a lot of times, really teachers in math especially, will talk about money situations. That's our life. We pay bills, we make money, we try to make it all work. And okay, so there's money coming in and money going out, positive, negative. It makes total sense to us. But one joking kind of way I said is like, if you go to a lunch table and there's 2 positive people and 3 negative people there, do you want to sit there? I jokingly say, but I say like, okay, why? Because there's more negatives than positives. Okay, well, maybe you could be the one to balance out and everything, but the whole concept is that you recognize there's more negatives than positives. Okay, people, money, whatever the situation is, candy, toys, all right? Somebody's taking 3 and you only have 2, you're not going to be happy. They're going to say, you owe me another toy or another dollar, whatever it is, okay? So you still get the same answer, okay? And actually, I should probably put a little, oh, it doesn't let me backspace. I was going to say, that's one thing I don't like about WebPaint is it doesn't quite have the Word document and other text features where you can, maybe I can hit backspace. Okay, yeah, now I hit space. There we go. Okay, it wouldn't let my arrow move. Once I leave that line, I can't go back to it and erase something. So it's, if I make a mistake, I'm done. Okay, so those are a couple of different ways you can see it. Okay, and so before we do the fraction example, I just want to write same sign rule if the 2 digits have the same sign, you add them and keep the same. Okay, it's kind of going off the page there, okay? So you guys already know this, 2 plus 3 equals 5, okay? Negative 2 minus 3 equals negative 5, or negative 2 plus negative 3 equals negative 5. But you're adding, sir, but it's, yeah, what are you adding? A negative situation, okay? Well, wait, sir, above that, you're subtracting a positive 3, okay? Let me write it that way too. They usually will never write it this way, but I'll just put the 3 in parentheses, or you could think of it, and they won't usually write it this way either, but I could. So I'm really saying that's a positive 3, guys. Yeah, it's 3 real dollars. They're real. They're 1, 2, 3. They exist. They're 3 positive dollars. Oh, but they're going to minus them from you because you want to buy something. You can't buy it unless you let them take that money from you. So that's negative to you, okay? Or, well, I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, what we got to start to recognize over this semester, and there's another topic we'll bring up next week. I think it's on the table for next week. Those are negative situations. And there's a process called KCO, keep, change, opposite, where you will be able to, if you don't like the way one of those looks, you can do keep, change, opposite and change it to the way you prefer to see it. Okay, so let me just show that real quick. Oh, it makes me go on the same thing. Okay, so if I have negative 2 minus 3, and that doesn't make sense to you because to you it looks like, well, that's a positive 3, so it's not same sign rule. And let me up here next to same sign, right? Why does it go way over there? I want to come over here. No, don't do that. It's weird. Okay. All right, situation. Let's start thinking that way. Okay. So it's either a positive in a positive situation or a negative in a negative situation. That's what same sign rule is. Okay. So we're going to do keep, change, opposite. Okay, it's like a little strategy call it a strategy. I say strategies usually later in what just happened? Why did it do that? Okay. Okay, it didn't used to even do it that way. Okay, so basically under the 2, I'm going to write a K, and then I got a C for change, and then I got an O for opposite. Okay, and now what happens is you keep the -2, you change the minus to a plus, and you do the opposite of the +3 you see there. Okay, so in this way, you can make it, it's still a negative situation no matter how you look at it. If you're doing counters or you're on the number line, or if it's money in your pocket, okay? So you can convert it to the method you prefer to see that makes more sense to you, but you need to be able to recognize that that's the same sign rule, same sign situation. It's the same sign situation. Okay. All right, moving on. Different sign rule. Okay. Different sign rule, we have 2 minus 3, or we could have, if we keep change opposite, we have 2 plus a -3. Okay, so that's different sign rule. So the different sign rule, I will write right here, take the larger digit minus smaller digit. Okay, so in this problem, and it's not letting me space over, there we go. In this problem, that would be, I'll write it over here. So the larger digit minus the smaller digit would be 3 minus 2 equals 1, okay? Then the next step is you say the larger digits symbol wins. Or what I also like to say is, do you have more positive or more negative? Okay, so in our case, the -3, the 3 was negative. Let me write it up here. The 3 is larger digit. Excuse me, it's negative. Okay, so then when I come down here to do the answer, that means my answer has to be -1. But it was 1 right here. That was just to find the difference. Okay, up here, I could also put find the difference. Okay, that's what we're doing on different sign rule. Same sign rule, we are find, let me put in parentheses. Oh, nope. Too late. Okay, so I gotta go like this. Ooh, I hate when that happens. I'm just gonna have to, all right, find sum. And above this situation here, I don't know if it's gonna let me do this or not. No matter how many times I try to delete over that, I don't think it lets you. So up here above it, I will write it one more time. That was situation. Sorry about that. You guys, if you already wrote it, you have it. Situation. Okay, there we go. All right. So that gives us the generic. Okay. And last thing we need to know is adding and subtracting I normally handwrite this and just with my finger on the screen, but it gets really sloppy looking, guys. So I apologize. I'm going to try to do more typing until I can get my dot camera situation fixed. Okay, adding and subtracting fractions. We just must have LCD, least common denominator. Now, most of us have been exposed to that. I'm not writing notes on that. I'll just show you on the problems we're going to do now. But the subtracting and adding of positive and negative numbers is the part that's going to be a little bit confusing if you don't know it already. So I did want to write the same sign and different sign rules there so you have an idea. Okay? Okay, let's jump over to the IXL. Thank you for your patience. Here we go. So we are going to add and subtract. This is 7th grade, H10, add and subtract positive and negative fractions. Let's go ahead and I want to see this. Get bubbles. There we go. And move this guy up here out of the way somewhere. Welcome, Mr. Douglas. All right. So this one is easy. I'm basically saying you have 3/5 and 3/5. How many fifths do you have? Well, the denominator has to say the same. So you have basically 3 plus 3. You add across the top, okay? And you have fifths on the bottom. So you have 6/5. Now, I will tell you, and I will try to remind you all the time, guys, IXL, there was 1 or 2 IXLs last year where we discovered they did not count unsimplified answers. Unsimplified. Usually they will count 6/5 as the answer. So I will try it right now just to make sure. So when you guys do the Excel, you already know. But on occasion, if I don't try to do it this way, you may discover for yourself your first question, you miss it, okay? But they are fairly consistent. Like I said, we did tons of IXLs last year, and there's only once or twice. But the point is, for our benchmark test and the STAR test for the state assessment and everything, and any other tests we create, we want to count it wrong unless you simplify it, because that's how it is on the state tests and the district tests. So we need to practice and plan for that now. Now I'm just going to show you if 6.5 works, or I'm not 6.5, 6/5 or 6/5, just to see if this one it does accept it. But we're normally going to simplify that. 5 goes into 6 once, whole time. 1 whole 5 can be taken out at 6, and there's 1/5 left. So normally we would write 1 and 1/5. But see, they do accept unsimplified. All right, clear. All right, so let's do another one here. Okay, so now I don't have the same denominators. So first we have to change the denominators. So I have 9. And if you give me 1 second, I'm going to zoom in so then when I zoom out, it'll be a little smaller because I write kind of big and sloppy. So usually what I'll do, I don't have to change the tenths. What number on the bottom can I use as least common denominator? You have to make them the same, okay? And the first thing I always say to do is first see if the smaller denominator fits into the larger denominator, in which it does. 5 goes into 10 2 times. So I jokingly say, oh, they're being nice. They were really nice on the last problem because they already had the same denominator. But on this one, they're being nice. I only got to change one of them because there's a number of times you will have to change both. They don't go into each other at all. So you have to find increased multiples that they can both go into. It's common to both of them, as you will see momentarily on another problem. So here, if I have 9/10 plus, and then I have a -4/5, okay? How do I change that 5 to a 10? You have to go times 2. So I jokingly call that -4/5 a balloon. That is the balloon, small with no air in it. I'm going to increase it or inflate it. I'm going to make it 2 times bigger than it would have been, okay? And so the whole balloon is going to increase by times, sometimes I get that noise, times 2, okay? So whatever you do to the bottom of the balloon or the fraction, you have to do the top. So I'm going to have 2 times -4 is going to be -8, okay? So then what I like to do a lot of times, this is just me, if I'm writing on lined paper or whatever, I like to rewrite that now. You can see in your head 9/10 minus 8/10, 1/10, and move on probably. I just always like to rewrite it. I'm going to zoom out a little. When I do that, that doesn't move for me. Okay, and so I'm going to just write 9/10. I was running out of room, so I'll just do it like that. Minus 8/10. Oh wait, Mr. Douglas, up there it says plus a negative. It's a negative situation. okay? If the two symbols are right next to each other, or it just says minus the 3, okay? Those are all negative situations. So if you wanted to employ KCO, keep change opposite later, you could. We could keep the 9/10, change the plus to a minus, and then do the opposite of negative 4/5. Do the opposite of 8/10. So you could make that positive, okay? So now it's really saying 9/10 minus 8/10, okay? So you get 1/10, all right? So I'm going to come up here, hit text, 1. I wanted to do decimal again. We did decimals the past couple of days. Keep wanting to put a decimal. 1/10. Great job. Thank you. All right. So let's jump to the next level and see. So this is the same situation. I'm going to have to divide the top and bottom by 2, or times the top and bottom by 2. I'll get 4/10. 3/10 minus 4/10. I want to be short one. If you have 4 negatives and 3 positives, and you put them together at the lunch table, you're going to have one more negative person left over. So the answer is going to be negative 1/10, okay? Let's jump to the next level. There's not too many levels on this one. Okay, so now I'm going to do screen. I have negative 3/10. And if you can start to recognize this up front, if I do keep change opposite, I can go ahead and write minus 2/5. It's the same thing, okay? Or if you want to see it as, actually we can do that, that's fine. Let's leave it as the negative. So I got negative 2/5. So some of you may recognize better that this is the same sign rule. I got a negative 3 and a negative 2. But first I have to change the 5. I want to get to 10 again. I got to have the same denominator. So to get to a 10 on the bottom, before I can add or subtract any fractions, I have to go times 2. I'm making the balloon 2 times bigger. Okay, so negative 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, but it's going to be a negative 4/10. Okay, now I'm going to switch colors and rewrite that just so I can see it a little better. I will scroll. So I have negative 3/10 plus negative 4/10. So what do I have there? You add across. That's the same sign. Well, if they have the same sign, you just add them and keep the same sign. So I'm going to have negative 7/10. I cannot simplify that any further. So I'm done. Negative 7/10. I'm sorry, this little toolbar gets a little annoying. But it's my favorite right on the screen app I have. All right, so far. Seems to have about everything I like. Clear the whole screen or clear one move at a time. A lot of good features. Okay, negative 7/10. I'm just double checking, make sure I typed it right. Yep, negative 7/10. Correct. Okay, clear. So here, this one, that's all they're going to do with these fractions is just continue to show them to us. Sometimes you can't move the toolbar very fast. It's like heavy and you drop it all the time or something. I don't know. Okay, so let's look at this one. Again, I could change this if I want, and I could do keep change opposite, and I could keep the negative 1/10. I could change the negative to a positive, and then I can do the opposite of 4/5 and do negative 4/5. Okay, that way some of you will see better that it's the same sign rule, but you should notice nonetheless it's a negative situation. It's the same situation. Okay. All right, so let's do the problem over here. I have negative 1/10, and I am just going to go ahead and do the plus so I can have the negative 4/5. Now they're being very kind. They're just giving me, throwing 5s at me and have change one fraction only. Okay, so I'm going to go times 2. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So I'm going to get negative 8/10. Okay, so just to see that a little more clearly, we have negative 1/10 plus negative 8/10. So how many total tenths do I have? Negative 9/10. All right, and we're going to skip a level after this. Negative 9/10. Great job. Clear. Okay. So now we're up to halfway done. When I hit skip a level, it goes right to challenge. That means all the way from 30 or 40 something up to 90 in the challenge levels. That's all you're going to be doing. Okay, now that might have different bottoms where you have to change both fractions. But look at this, even the challenge level, I only have to change one fraction. 2 goes into 4, so I don't need to change this fraction, I just need to change 1. But boom, right out of the gate, the first thing you're going to hit me with is double negative. Now, maybe I should have put that in the let's go text. Maybe I should have put that on the opening slide. We talked about that in class. Just like in English, double negative, okay? Double negative, just why I write this real quick. Double negative, I don't know if that'll make my cursor smaller or not, is like someone says, don't not do your homework. Don't not do your homework. Are they wanting you to do your homework? Yeah, they're saying don't not do it. Not doing it is not good. Okay, so they're saying don't not do it. Okay, so that can be confusing. It's not proper English. You're not supposed to use double negatives, but it's just like being sarcastic, you know. I told this one in class, if you know you guys get off work at 5 and you're just feeling tired and you walk up to your coworker and you say, it's 4:30 and you're like, oh man, are we done yet? And they say, oh yeah, the boss said we could go jump in the swimming pool. And you know that's not what they really mean. It's just being sarcastic. So it's used for effect, okay? Like that's kind of like, oh yeah, Mr. Obvious. Is it 5 o'clock? Then why are you asking me? Why are you making me now think about that I still have to work for a half hour. So you do things to be funny or for humor to make a better effect. Well, sometimes people say this, maybe like they'll do double negatives to be a little humorous, but also just for effect, okay? So why do they do it in math though? Maybe to mess with you. Make sure you understand how they offset each other. So double negative in English is the same as double English in math. If I have -2 minus, and they could just put it like this, minus -3. Usually they would do it like this. They would put in parentheses -3. I'm going to write the way IXL shows up. Now this is a fraction, so it's a little easier to notice. But IXL will write -2 minus, and they'll have a little dinky negative up at the top of the 3. And I warn my students, because I saw it happen. If they're using their cell phone or an iPad, a little smaller device, that little negative at the top, near the top of the number, it's not how we normally see things. And people will say, oh, I thought that was a speck or a scratch on my phone. Okay. It doesn't really make sense to see it that way, but IXL will show it to us that way when we did our adding and subtracting integers. Okay. So here's what I also point out. So that actually, let me get my text back. Oh no. I hate when this happens. Let me go back some. Maybe I can, no, I want to show that. It's just, did I hit the wrong button? It wasn't letting me go to text. Okay. I'll come down here. I don't know why that one line is stuck there. Maybe you can't even see it. So actually means plus. It means don't subtract or the opposite of negative. Okay, so when you put them both together, don't subtract or minus, the opposite of negative. So it actually means plus. And the last thing I like to do on this note, guys, is trying to remember how I sometimes click on the wrong thing up here and then I lose the cursor. I jokingly tell, and I got this from a teacher when I was a kid, I don't even remember which one, but they would say, let me change to like a different color. They would say, doesn't that kind of look like a giant plus sign? But as I already told you, like look over here with IXL, they don't even have that parentheses bar, so that's not going to catch it for you. But on our district and state tests and anything we do, we usually always put that parentheses there. We think that's more mathematically correct than doing it this way or doing it this way I wrote it. They would normally never put two negatives right next to each other without parentheses or something there. But you would just know they offset each other, okay? All right, so after all that, let me show this problem in a different color down below. It's not that difficult of a problem. I'm going to zoom a little bit, okay? So 4 is going to be my least common denominator, so I only need to change the 1/2, but we're going to make it plus now because I've got a double negative. So I'm going to have 3/4, and then I'm going to have 1/2, and it's a plus now. But I need a 4 on the bottom, so I'm going to times 2 on the bottom, and whatever you do on the bottom, you have to do on the top. So this is going to turn into 2/4, and you know that 2 is half of 4, so 2/4 is the same thing as 1/2. So now I really have 3/4 plus 2/4. So I'm going to get 5/4. And like I said, I believe IXL would gladly, you know, it's kind of nice of them, let you include 5/4 as an answer. We want you to simplify that. That's what a teacher said where I came from in Harlingen. I like the way she said it. She said, that's a mad fraction. It's mad, and mad's a method we do to make it proper, okay? Or to make a mixed number mad. But it's mad because its head's too big for its body. It feels like it's going to fall over, so we need to simplify it. 4 goes into 5 one whole time, okay? But what would be left? 5 minus 4, there's 1 left. So there's going to be 1/4 left up here at the top. 1 and 1/4. And on IXL, you always want to put that space there, guys. If I don't, and I put 1 and 1/4, ooh, now that looks like 11/4, okay? So make sure you drop that space in there. Okay, all right. So we're at challenge. I'll do one more challenge level, guys. Let me get this, come on. That's the frustrating part. Okay, so now they have a negative and a negative situation. It's a minus, but it's a negative situation because they're subtracting from me something, okay? And look, I'm at challenge level, guys, and I've already got the same denominators, and this is just same sign rule. So -11 and a -1, same sign rule says you add them and keep the same sign. So I'm just going to have -12 over 20. Okay, now we would want to simplify that. They're both even. I could divide them by 2. But you could do that, but you're going to notice you could divide it by 2 again. Can you see any bigger factors besides 2? A factor is a number times a number equals a product. Product's the answer to a multiplication problem. You see any other factors larger than 2 that goes into both numbers? Well, 3 times 4 equals 12, and 4 times 5 equals 20. So 4 goes into both. So we can divide the top and bottom by 4. And don't forget the negative symbol here. I'll end up with negative 12 divided by 4 is 3. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So that is my answer. -3 divided by 5. All right. Okay, guys, so pretty easy. Sincere best wishes to you on this. Good to see you. I gotta go stop share and shoot me any questions. Have a great day. Smile and be happy. You deserve it. Go rub some of that positive energy off on others. Help make situations more positive. Have a good day.